Welcome back. Today I want to give a quick talk uh, on what we normally talk about, generational wealth. I want to talk about the end game of this thing, why you're doing this thing, why I'm interested in doing it. I was talking to my youngest brother a little while ago, and he was telling me that he's a big fan of what it is that I'm doing. And I was like, man, that's terrific. Thanks for telling me that. I didn't even think he was, he even knew anything about it. He was watching it. And he says, but he disagrees with the basic premise of what it is that I'm talking about every time I come up on here about generational wealth. He says what you need to do is give generational knowledge. You need to give information on how to make money, that type of stuff, how to be good with money, how to look out for future generations. But he said giving that money thing is just a waste of time because how many people have we known in our family? How many people have you known in your family that have received some kind of riches, an inheritance or property or whatever it is, and just totally squandered that amount of money that they got? And sometimes it was even worse than squandering the money. Sometimes these people ended up, worse off than what they were when they got the money. Some people end up dead, after they received that amount of money at one time. My whole reason, our whole reason for doing what it is that we're doing and talking about generational wealth and talking about building this money up and getting these properties together for our children and for our grandchildren, the reason we're talking about doing that is not to plague these people, to make our future generations make things harder for them, or things turn out badly for them. What we're trying to do is give them a leg up where things are good for them and they can kind of make choices in the future about what it is that they want to do, what it is that they want to do. When we're working hard like this and we're trying to get these properties together and educate the generations behind us, our children and our grandchildren, in reference to real estate and how to live their lives a little better, making things easier for them in the future, it doesn't make any sense to give them something if they're not going to be good stewards of it. My wife and I are making sure that we are making sure that our kids, our grandchildren are cognizant of why we're doing this and preparing them for the one day that when we're not here, they can take over this business and they can run with it. They can build upon what it is my wife and I have been doing all this time. It is illogical for us to give something to somebody who doesn't deserve it. So our recommendation is to be sure that you let your family members who you're trying to help, you make sure that these people know what it is you're doing. You make sure that these people are going to be good stewards to what it is that you're doing. If you give your stuff, if you let Cousin Pookie inherit what it is that you're doing, it's going to be horrible because they're going to take that money and bad things are probably going to end up happening with them. It makes sense for you to give that money to them or give that property to them or do whatever you need to do to be sure that these people things are going to work out well for them. So, long story short, what I'm trying to say is there's a reason that you're doing this. That you're following us with the generational wealth and you're trying to build this up for them so they don't have to worry about working as hard as you are. The reason that you're doing this is to build up some wealth so that you can hand it to future generations. If those future generations are not worthy of the wealth, you don't want to leave it to them. If you know that it's not inside of them to do well with that wealth that you're leaving them, maybe you would just want to leave them a few bucks. Maybe you don't want to leave them anything at all. Maybe you want to leave that money to maybe a cousin or a nephew or somebody else who is going to be a good steward of that money, somebody who's going to take care of it, who's going to take care of that wealth and who's going to build on that, because you're concerned about your family, your progeny, what's coming after you. If you're concerned about that, it doesn't specifically have to be your specific children, your specific grandchildren. If you know they're not going to be good with the money, you're not going to be good with the wealth, you're probably going to be turning over in your grave if you leave that money to them knowing that they are gambling and drinking it away, wine, women, and song, and not building upon your hard work. What are you doing this for if they're not going to be worthy stewards of what you leave behind? So long story short, if you've seen any of the previous videos that we've done, we talk to our grandchildren all the time about this. Our children, their grandchildren's parents, they're involved in our business. They're doing all kinds of stuff, suggestions. They've been out to the properties. They know what it is that we're doing. They're interested in it, and they're building their own businesses that are complementary to what it is that my wife and I are doing. So you might, for instance, and this is what we're doing, you might, for instance, want to encourage your children maybe to be carpenters or electricians or plumbers, something that would help you hopefully now, but also help them in the future where they have that skill, because you're always going to need that. There are those specialties are always going to be in demand. Carpentry, plumbers, electricians, roofers, all of those type of people, bricklayers, et cetera, et cetera. All of that stuff is going to be needed in the future. It's super needed right now. And what you need to do is be sure that you work on this to make sure that you encourage these people to do what they need to do. You don't want to leave your money to Cousin Pookie, because Cousin Pookie is going to blow that money. You want to leave your money to someone who you know is going to be a good steward of that dough, or someone who's going to be a good steward of what it is that you're doing. The reason why you're doing this is to build generational wealth. If one guy gets it or one person gets it and they just totally squander it, man, you just wasted. I mean, you don't know what the future is going to hold, but you just basically wasted all that time, amassing this wealth just to give it to somebody who's going to blow it anyway. So what my wife and I have been doing is, we've been making sure that our children, our grandchildren, they're educated as to how to take care of this stuff, how to build upon it. We talked to them about banking. We talked to our grandchildren who are, young, Gabriel, Isabella, and Noah. We talked to them about Monopoly. If you saw a video a few weeks ago about Monopoly and how, buying that one property, getting that lot together, then amassing that money that you can use that to do other things later. You can buy a house, getting that lot and then developing it. You know how Monopoly works. And, even though it's a game, it's really something that's going to help, that can help you if you take what you're learning in that game and use that for real life applications. And Monopoly is basically no different than what people do in the real world with real money, and they get wealthy by, in our case, real estate. That's something that can help them a lot. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on this thing. Do not give your money to Cousin Pookie. Give your money to somebody who you know is going to be worthy of the real estate, of the wealth that you've amassed during this time. Why are you doing this if you're going to screw it up and drop the ball at the very end? So, just my 2 cents. Again, thanks a lot for listening. Hope to see you guys back here again sometime soon. Take care. Bye-bye.